Welcome to New Realities. On this program, I explore many aspects of our evolution, our spiritual awakening, and how do we use what's evolving in us as spiritual beings to create more of what we want in the world. So some of that as well, I'll be talking to today's guest, Jeff Giiterman, who's the author of this book, Beyond Success, which is a really well-written book about psychology of success and how to achieve more in our lives. So thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Alan.
We are living in these two worlds, and there's this paradigm between what's been called material and what's been called spiritual. But I think you really pull the two together. How were you able to do that?
I started to see years ago that the spiritual communities that I was traveling in seemed to be having a financial crisis.
Right.
They had great ideas and great creativity, and they were looking for an outlet for their expression, but they couldn't seem to find it in the material world. And then the financial people that I was meeting with, and I do seminars for financial companies all over the country, they seemed to be having a spiritual crisis.
Right.
So each side seemed to be lacking what the other side was lacking, and it really was clear to me, having a foot in both sides, that there needed to be a bridge that started bringing these two worlds back together.
Right, so what is that bridge? Because a lot of spiritual people think it's unspiritual to have money or even think about that, and I think that's sort of been my problem. And so how do you bridge? Because I don't think that's really true. I think that's just an old idea.
So I think the beginning idea or foundation is that this world is supposed to be our canvas. See, for too long we've had this idea that we were looking out on this world, trying to find something to fulfill the void and emptiness that we have inside. And so many of us with a spiritual, creative bent couldn't find anything to fulfill us in the world. And whether it was a spiritual trip or a drug trip or whatever it might have been, we were all left through the 60s and after still feeling a void within us. And so we blamed the world for that. And the truth is that there's nothing to get in the world. There is nothing out there for us at all. We're here to express our infinite creative expression on the canvas that is the world.
I like that. That's exactly what I feel. To have fun and to be the most alive we can be.
Yes, absolutely. And then if you think that the outside world is the measure for your own fulfillment and happiness, you've got it backwards. And the reason why so many people reject the outside world is because they didn't find themselves being measured by the outside world to the degree that they knew inside they would be measured at. I mean, we're all infinite, beautiful, perfect creatures, and most of us growing up in this world certainly don't feel that the world honors us in that way. But the truth is that we already come to the world that way, and we're supposed to be just looking internally to see what it is that we can express out into the world. And when we start the focus inward as to what we can express outward, then the two worlds become one.
But my problem, I mean, I totally agree. My problem is it almost feels hypocritical to spend a lot of money when there's people starving, and it's like, I know that's just silly, but it's like, I feel my abundance then takes away from some other place. And I actually worked through this with T. Harv in The Millionaire Mind.
I know T. well.
And yeah, you're similar, but it didn't stick. So it's like, I want everyone to be abundant. I want to be abundant. I want to be successful. And I don't want to do that at the cost of anyone else. I think that's my issue. And tell me what's wrong with that kind of thinking.
The first thing is that you're giving yourself a responsibility of the world that actually you as the small I don't deserve to have.
I don't need to be responsible for other people's...
You're certainly not responsible for other people's suffering. And I'm not saying that there isn't a way that you can certainly use your beauty and your expression to help other people, but not as the small Alan, not as the ego of Alan that's constantly judging and measuring what's going on in the outside world and either feels responsible for it or can't find their own happiness or your own happiness because of what's going on in the outside world. The truth is that you have to stand as a light or a beacon. And for you to stand as a light or a beacon, you have to come to the world with a sense of abundance. You can't come to the world with a sense of scarcity. And the idea that your abundance can take away from someone else's abundance means that God has created a world where there's only so much and we have to fight over it. And to think that there is a universe or a God that would create a world and throw 6 billion people in it to fight over the scraps doesn't seem like the truth to me. The truth to me seems that we are an expression of that oneness, that energy, that source, that God, whatever you want to name it. And in expressing that, we're expressing our infinite greatness into the world. And when we're just focused on what we're expressing and we don't want anything back from the world, like you don't have to come to the world saying, I want to make $1 million, or I want to drive a Porsche, or I want to drive a Bentley. But somehow, if you're totally focused on you expressing your beauty in the world without wanting anything from the world, then you realize that you already have everything.
That's good.
And then you're not constantly measuring, what do I deserve, what don't I deserve, because you stop thinking that it's really happening from your own hand. You realize that the more you as an individual wanting gets out of the way, the more infinite source can fill you
give me
and flow through the world.
So how do I get out of the way? I mean, I know there's stuff in the way, mind stuff, psychology, belief systems are in the way for my success. I mean, I'm successful on one level, but there's levels and levels that I think I can go. And what do you see?
So in the book we talk about these 4 pillars, or we call it core, and it's C is connecting to source. And unless you can have a connection to source, it's extremely difficult for you to get all the beliefs and the ego and everything else out of the way.
The 4 pillars are C-O-R-E, right? And so the first one is source.
Connecting to source.
Okay, I have that one.
And that's having, in my mind, that's having some kind of silent or meditation practice that allows you to quiet the wanting mind. And allows you to put your attention in not focused on wanting anything outside of yourself. And until you can pull your attention back, because right now, most people's attention is like a little puppy dog running around, sniffing everything and chasing after everything. And until you could train your attention to be still, you don't really even comprehend the idea of what it means to be present. And I'm sure you've had plenty of shows on what it means to be present. And
still working on that
still.
one.
And in order for you to do that, you have to learn how to stop chasing that puppy dog around. And the only thing that I've ever found in every major religion and philosophy that teaches that practice is some sort of meditation practice. And we give a lot of different examples of things that I found and other people have found that work.
Right, some sort of place where you can then reconnect with who you are.
Yeah, because if there is an infinite source trying to express itself through us, the idea that I got early on is that my wanting, chattering mind, the one that was always judging and measuring and worrying and fretting over everything, actually blocked that energy from coming through me. And the quieter I got that mind and the stiller I got that mind, the more energy was flowing through me into the world from source.
Great, that helps. I get that. I get what you're saying.
Because most people think meditation is the sense of getting somewhere. And there is really no idea of you getting somewhere.
Okay, so that's the centering. The centering. The O in the second pillar is?
The O is owning your unique expression. So it's coming to an understanding of what lights you up. What do you do that gives you an enormous amount of energy? I mean, there are plenty of people that have a job and come home drained from the job and are exhausted and then go to the garage or the backyard to do their hobby and all of a sudden they're filled up with energy and they could do it all night. So that's one of the measures that we use for something that is your unique expression.
What gives you, and what can you do all day long and just get fed by it?
Because that means that something's coming through you to actually keep your energy up.
Higher connection.
Rather than you being drained and the energy being drained from you while you're doing it. And then another measure is that you can make a living doing it, because this world does operate right now in the material form, and in that material form you should be able to earn a living doing your unique
So
expression.
the third pillar is?
The third pillar is redirecting your attention.
Ah.
So once you get an idea of what your unique expression is,
That feeds you, yeah.
we need to take ourselves out of our present state of worrying and fretting, and our present state is really the result of all the problems that we've been focused on in the past. So the only way to change the future is to change the present.
Okay.
Because whatever our mind is focused on today is what's resulting in our future, and whatever's happening right now is what we were paying attention to in the past.
Okay.
So we have in the book this idea of making this little movie, that you have this 5-minute video that you play in your head. You've just made it up and created it on your own, and it's Alan having a perfect day, fulfilling about 3 years in the future.
Okay.
So, and it's filled with senses and touch and creativity, everything that you can bring into that little video clip of you waking up 3 years from now and living your unique expression to the fullest. I mean, maybe Oprah's retired and you've taken over Oprah's spot and you're on national TV. You look like Dick Cavett a little bit more than
do that kind
Oprah, but maybe Dick Cavett.
Well, it does give me energy. I mean, it's interesting. I do, when I'm talking to people and finding out who they are, I feel like an opening that happens.
So that's exactly probably what your unique expression is.
So the redirection would be then to play this movie
every night before you go to sleep.
Because that's when the mind's more open to receiving.
And what you're trying to do is sink it into your subconscious mind, because everyone's subconscious mind is like a navigation system in a car. And the one thing a navigation system needs in a car in order for it to function is for you to get in the car and put the address in. So you have this navigation system, but if you haven't put in this vision of where you want to show up in the future, then you have no address in your navigation system, then you're driving around in circles. So most people are wondering why year after year after year they're in the same spot that they always have been, and the reason is that they're not putting in a destination. And the easiest, quickest way for a human being to put in a destination is to image it. And I mean, it helps to also write down your goals, but it really is powerful to be able to create a visual imprint of what you want that destination to look like. And the more that you do that and play that, and we say that you have to play it at least 30 days in a row, 5 minutes every night,
right before you go to bed.
Yeah, and the critical thing is that you have this image without allowing yourself in that 30-day period to think of any negative obstacles that could get in the way of that vision being acquired. So the first 30 days you do the vision every night, the video every night, and you don't allow yourself to spend any time in that 30 days thinking about what obstacles could stop you from
during
getting
the day.
that.
You don't think about it.
You're not allowed for the 30 days to focus any attention. You want and you could play the movie all day. So what we say to people is if you start thinking about the obstacles during the day, your mind has free time and is wandering around, replace that thinking immediately with playing your video. And do that as often as you need to during the day to keep out the negative obstacle thoughts. After the 30 days, you could spend all the time you want. You've imprinted this destination, this address, and then you can start thinking through what the obstacles are and how they could be overcome.
So the fourth pillar is?
So the fourth is maybe my favorite, but it's expanding your awareness to include others. And what that really means is, in some ways, it's your perspective. Most people's perspective, because they're caught up in the wanting mind, is very narrow. It's on me and my world and what I'm getting out of my world. And the best gift that you can give someone is the gift of undivided silence and attention. And, you know, silent and listen are made up of the same letters. I don't think that's a mistake. So if you could just meet people in your day, and just, I tell people to start with people that you're not in relationship with, because it's extremely difficult to be silent with someone that you're in relationship with. That's where most of the judgment and critical mind is operating on, is on a relationship level. But if you can meet strangers, your dry cleaner, the person in the grocery store, if you can meet those people in the beginning as kind of a training module with just, you know, questions, you know, how are you, how is your day, and complete silence and undivided attention following that, you give people a gift that opens up doors for you and those other people that you can't see right now. And it allows you to be present to what's actually occurring at that moment, rather than spending your time in the past or the future.
let me take that in. Because, no, as you were talking, I kept wanting to say, but you know, as the more you were talking, I was saying, yeah, if I can just, because it's just ego that wants to respond. So if I can really take in what you're saying, then something actually shifts inside me.
Yes, and something bigger opens up, and the conversation tends to get deeper. You know, people have a fear that if I'm not focused on what to say, especially a talk show host, I mean, if I'm not thinking about what to say next, we're going to have dead air, and that's the worst thing you can have, but that doesn't seem to happen. It opens up a space, just like doing your unique expression opens up. Doing your unique expression brings in some energy that, you know, minutes ago doing your job maybe you didn't have. The same thing happens when you start becoming silent as a gift to someone else. You know, this isn't meditation. This is actually opening up a space so that your unique expression, your source, the part of you that's perfect and true, can actually come forward.
Yeah, and then to stop before you need to, I mean, instead of just responding automatically, because, well, what came to me as you were speaking was, if I can really listen to what you're saying, that's actually me over there talking to myself here, and I need to hear what I am saying so it will help me shift to a greater.
Yes. Yes, definitely.
That's it, because we're always interacting with parts of ourselves that we're tuning out or pushing away, but if I can really absorb this, then something can happen.
Yeah, you can have a huge shift. You know, the problem with taking in information to want to change, you know, and maybe in some ways this refers to my own book, but the problem with going to seminars and going to all these things is that what wants to change in that interaction is the ego. And what we're talking about here is actually moving beyond the ego and coming to a place where you're already perfect. So you're not going to a seminar because Alan needs to improve. There's nothing about Alan that needs to improve. Alan is perfect. It's really more about Alan not judging himself in his reflection of the world that needs to just stop, that needs to be let go of.
And getting those things that are in the way of that pure reflection out, because they're only held in place by my own judgment about myself.
Right.
The other point of beyond success is, like, you talk about people who seemingly have had success, yet they're not happy. They're really, in a way, aren't anywhere, even though on the outside they seem to have accomplished something, but inside they're not fulfilled.
Right. And I mean, that's true of most people that I've met with a lot of money. I mean, it's very rare that just because you have a lot of money and have a lot of notoriety and attention and fame that any of those things actually fulfills anyone. I gave a seminar at a business school a few months ago, and I asked the kids in the room how many people were going to business school because they wanted to get out and make a lot of money, and everyone raised their hand except for, I think, one person. And then I said, can you think of a parent or a friend that makes a lot of money, that has the kind of success that you're in business school to acquire? Can you get a picture of that person in your mind? And they all got a picture of someone in their mind. And I said, how many of you actually want to be like that person? When you look at the values and what that person actually represents, how many people can now say, after thinking of that question, that they want to be that person? And not one person in the business class raised their hand. So, you know, we're starting to get the idea, even though it's maybe a little buried, that the idea of measuring success by money or fame is not Harris Hillers and Anna Nicole Smiths and Michael Jacksons do we need.
Or Bernie Madoff's.
Right,
actually.
or Bernie Madoff's, to wake up to the fact that we're measuring ourselves by something that can't ever begin to measure how great and infinite we are.
So then, I mean, I'm open to hearing this, but then what is beyond success, and then how do you talk to business people about being the infinite source of who they are? I mean, I understand that, I think, but...
So, I mean, it's a fun thing because I get to go into financial companies only because of my success as a financial advisor. I don't get invited there because I wrote the book. That would be nice, but it doesn't happen. I get invited because I have a very successful financial practice. And people want, initially, when I come to these seminars, they want the same success, financial success that I have. And then I start talking to them about the only way to acquire that is to let go of actually wanting that and to actually serve their clients and these are financial advisors who are serving their clients, to serve their clients in the same way that we just talked about serving someone, to be silent, to actually listen to them with, what they truly want, not what they think they want. And in order to grow and mature into that type of financial advisor, these are principles, core, C-O-R-E, that you need to follow. And financial advisors actually do grab it. I don't know if I can have the same success with stockbrokers on Wall Street or with, investment analysts yet. I mean, I hope that I can change the whole world in that way. But financial advisors became financial advisors really because they want to help people reach their goals.
They weren't interested in making a lot of money? Or?
I'm not saying that that wasn't a secondary or even a primary interest, but there was an interest in there because, a broker or an investment analyst can sit behind a desk all day and never have contact with another human being and make millions. Right. A financial advisor has to sit down with you, has to inquire about your dreams and goals, has to get to know you, has to get your trust in order to be a success. So I've had a lot of success. I've been, some of the most highly rated seminars as far as getting other financial advisors to really want to change the way they practice and the way they do business when I start talking to them about the ideas in the book. And ING actually recently just bought a few thousand books to distribute to their financial advisors, and I've been talking to other companies. So hopefully, my idea a long time ago was that, as a young kid, was that I would become successful, actually, so that people would listen to me about what I really wanted to talk about.
Which is?
Which is that isn't what success is really about.
And success is this connection to this.
Yeah, so it's like a bait and switch. I knew I had to get enmeshed in the financial world and have success there before people would ever even listen to what I have to say, unfortunately, but that's how the world works right now.
What was your awakening to the fact that, because most financial people don't have the same awareness, what woke you up to that connection?
I mean, I really started that way as a little kid, lost it for a long time, and then got financial success, which I thought was the be-all to end-all, and I talk about this in the book, and felt completely empty and felt like I had a huge void in my life, even though I was making more money than I ever thought I would ever make. And that's when I started to go back to my roots and my spiritual practices as a kid, actually, and started meditating again and started really what I wanted my life to look like. And that's when everything really fell together.
And that's when you actually felt there was this connection to this higher, more aware part of yourself.
Yes.
And
the more I get out of the way, the more it seems to fulfill me.
So if I was going to take this show and be successful, I mean, I had a vision. Okay, let's say I got this show on national television, and millions of people watched. I made a lot of money. Maybe that would be more stressful for me, or maybe. Oh yeah,
I couldn't see you.
You couldn't
balancing that. Yeah.
But I want that. But I also want that. It's like.
But the one question that I always ask people when they say that is, why do you really want that? And do you truly want it because of what other people will think of you if you have that?
Yeah, that's part. But also, it would feel like I was successful.
But in whose eyes?
For me.
Where do you measure that? But how do you measure that? If
or in other people's, what I think other people would judge me for.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that's what your ego wants. Your ego wants other people to measure you as being successful.
That's what most people think of. And it would also have more money.
Right. Yeah, which sometimes is more stressful than having less money. But I'm not saying always, but there's a happy medium in there somewhere.
But can I be successful in that way and have a different way of looking at myself? Can I go that way?
You can get quieter.
Okay.
You can have a show because you actually love talking to other people and bringing the best out of them. And if that was your goal, you would have the most successful show on TV. If your goal was really to bring out the best of other people and to truly listen to them and have them shine, then you would feel fulfilled, you would feel successful, and the show would grow and become more successful. You already have it all. I mean, this world is our creation. Our thoughts have created everything that exists. So you already have it all. You just are measuring yourself falsely, actually, because you really don't have any idea what other people think about you.
Yeah.
So you're actually the only one measuring and judging yourself. And you think that if you have more money, you'll feel better about yourself. And that never, ever, ever happens. That never works out. People usually start having a sense that people like them now for false reasons. I mean, there's whole host of internal complications that come with having a lot of money and your life changing. And it never works out to feel differently about yourself internally. But go ahead.
No, I was just getting, so it's not, the idea is not to have more, but to feel something else internally that will then draw a bigger picture.
Well, it'll just come to be inclusive of everything. I mean, you know, right now you're separating everything. You're separating your spiritual world from the material world. You're separating you from everyone else.
Right.
And if you were really just focused on bringing the best of you in service to other people, then everything gets tied together. And you wake up kind of like this light and shining armor. You know, you just really want to go out there and serve others, because you understand that you already have everything you can ever want.
That's good.
But you have to drop the idea of, you know, measuring and judging yourself.
Right, and just let it all happen.
Yeah, and not thinking that you're responsible for it.
Responsible for other people.
Not even responsible for your life and the way that it's working.
I'm not even responsible. I'm just doing what I'm here to do.
Right.
How do I even know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing?
If you love it and you stop feeling empty and unfulfilled, then you know.
I mean, I think when you said about a talk show host, I mean, I think Oprah does that for people. I think that's why she is successful. She lets people shine. She does. She brings out the best in people.
And as a little kid, she had a vision of what her life would look like, of winning an Academy Award. She saw Sidney Poitier walk down the red carpet as a little girl who was desperately poor, living in a shack, had just had an abortion at 13 years old. I mean, really bad start. Saw Sidney Poitier walk down the red carpet to receive the Academy Award, the first black man to win an Academy Award, and locked in a vision in her mind that that was going to be her future, and came from nothing to be the wealthiest, you know, one of the wealthiest women in America, if not the wealthiest.
Successful because of the reasons you say. She
helps everyone.
Yeah, she shines through that and helps other people. So,
and you watch her on TV, and you can tell that she really, I mean, people make her cry all the time, and you get a sense from her that she's really listening.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
And that's what we all should be focused on. We should be focused on, what can I do for you? Because I already have everything I need. I mean, if you wake up every day and you really start believing that you already have everything you need, and you're just there to help others, then everything shifts.
That's good. And forget the money, forget all that.
It's irrelevant. I mean, how long we're here for a little blip in time, and there's no pockets in a funeral jacket. You can't take it with you anyway. So,
wait, say that again. Wake up every morning and say, I'm here for others.
I already have everything I need, and I'm just here to be silent and pay attention to what I can do for others. To always be looking for the opportunity of how can I connect with another human being and serve them. And that doesn't mean, I stress in the book, that doesn't mean to get walked on. That doesn't mean that someone comes by in the street and says, you know, I need money, and they look completely healthy, and you hand over all your money. This is operating on a subliminal, energetic level, that you give all your attention to them. Doesn't mean that you, you know, get walked all over. Spend 30 days on the 4 pillars.
Okay.
Spend 30 days
Centered.
meditating in the morning.
Yes.
All I ask is like 15 minutes a day.
Okay.
Just being quiet, follow one of the practices in the book or your own. Doesn't matter. And at night, play your little video for 5 minutes. And during the day, try to be there for at least 4 or 5 people a day. Just try to be there in complete silence to serve them in whatever way seems to arise in the moment. Try that for 30 days, see what happens, and then, well, the other is just knowing your unique expression. So we'll assume that you already kind of know that when you make the movie. So practice the other 3. And what I also tell people is, if you don't know your unique expression and you can't figure out what it is, then just practice the 1st and 4th pillar. Just meditate in the morning and see how you can be of service to others during the day. And that practice will lead to opening up to what your unique expression is.
So this is really what you mean beyond success, because when we have those 4 pillars and we're really functioning in there, success is a sort of secondary thing, because we're we're in the essence of who we are.
Right.
And we are serving our highest nature and everyone else around us.
Yes.
So that's the fourth one is to, once we're in the know of who we are, it sort of hooks in with what everyone, we're just here to help raise the light of the world.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
That's, I mean, I don't know, something clicked there.
You got a little quieter. I could
did.
see it in your eyes.
Yeah. Well, you have a good voice to listen to. It's almost hypnotic. So
that's why I haven't made an audio tape of the book. I'm afraid people listen to it while they're driving. Drive right off the side of the road.
No, I think, are you happy?
I'm very happy, yeah.
And what makes you the happiest?
You know, it's weird because I don't think about what makes Jeff happy. You know, I wake up in the morning, my life is so full. I mean, I have 4 kids. I'm running an autism board because I have an autistic son. I have a financial practice. I've written the book. I went for my master's degree over the last 2 years. My life is so full doing things that I love that there's really no time to even question, am I happy? And everything that I'm doing, I enjoy doing. That's a big thing.
And so you are enjoying every part of your
existence. And I think, you know, if you know people that know me, they would echo that. I mean,
you seem peaceful.
I'm pretty much, this guy that you see right here is who I am all the time.
There's no place you want to get to, or you have, I mean, what's your movie, if you want to share your movie?
You know, it's just to be talking to more people about this. I mean, that's all that's in my movie.
This is really your work, the service.
Yeah, and everything I did with the financial company, which I still love doing, was really to get me to this point where I can talk to people about what it really means to be happy and fulfilled.
I get that. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you very much.
It was really...
So we'll get together in 30 days and we'll see how it
Okay, so you want me to
out.
do my movie every night, what I want to achieve, get quiet.
And then we'll talk in 30 days and see where you're at.
Maybe we'll do another show in 30 days.
Okay, that would be fun.
I've been talking to Jeff Giiterman, the author of Beyond Success. Very good book, inspirational. The 4 pillars are in here. That's something I focused on. And your website again?
Is beyondsuccessconsulting.com.
Beyond Success Consulting. You can say it one more time to the camera.
Beyondsuccessconsulting.com.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That was good. I'm actually gonna report back and see.
Great.
So maybe I will get like Oprah. No, but maybe. Who knows?
Merv Griffin. Dick Cavett.
Charlie Rose.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll just be me in a whole new way.
There you
friend
go.
Victoria says. Well, thank you. Thank you for watching. This is Alan Steinfeld for New Realities, and we'll see which realities will unfold. If you want to reach me, email me at newrealities@earthlink.net and check my website, newrealities.com.